welcome back to Friday Reads, where we help you find your next read. I'm Jill.
And I'm Julie. We had a few weeks off. Jill was over in fancy countries of Amsterdam and England, and we're back. And this time we thought it'd be fun to share some of the books on our to-be-read lists. And we'd love for you to chime in and tell us whether or not they should stay or they should go. So Jill, what's your first pick?
So my first pick is our local favorite around here, Leah Dobrinska. She has a lot of books. This is actually the fourth one in her Fall in Love series, but they're all standalone books. So you can read it separately, or you can read all the other ones that come before it. Holland Bradley is Golf World's golden boy, confident and charismatic. When his agent lands him a starring role in the most eligible Mister, the nation's longest-running reality TV show, he doesn't hesitate. A chance to find love by dating 20 beautiful women and bringing more attention to the sport he loves, while also curing him of the tiny crush he has on his coach, sounds like a hole-in-one. A woman in a male-dominated field, golf coach Mallory Walsh doesn't have the luxury of sharing Holland's cavalier attitude, but she's a pro, so she can get her personal disdain for him aside and keep coaching Holland to tournament victories. The more he wins, the more she's paid, and the more she can help her parents with their mounting medical bills. Holland's role on the most eligible Mister is a distraction he and she can't afford, until one of the show's producers offers Mallory good money to sign on as a contestant. Holland and Mallory are whisked away to Cashmere Cove, where a scheming hometown community is intent on helping them fall in love, and fame-hungry contestants are determined to keep them apart. The player and coach pair make a pact to keep things professional, but soon the pressure cooker situation has them teaming up to survive. As Holland relies on Mallory for support in dealing with past trauma, and Mallory discovers a good listener and fierce advocate behind Holly's flashy facade, everything changes. Can the pair come out on top, or is any real relationship between them as likely as an albatross? Because pros don't fall in love, do they? This is the fourth book, like she said, in the small town of Cashmere Cove, Wisconsin. They take place. It's a closed-door rom-com with plenty of sizzling chemistry or romantic tension, but no spice. So it's a little bit a clean romance,
There
if
you
you
go.
say. So
Cute cover.
pros don't.
And I almost had Leah on my list, but Troubled Waters came in for me. This is her newest one, I believe. It's a songwriter sleuth mystery, and I started reading this, so it's no longer on the to-be-read. It's what I'm reading. So my first pick for my list is The Shadows We Hide by Alan Eskens, and this is the follow-up sequel to The Life We Bury, which I listened to on Libby, and I really like that. So this continues with those same characters. This time, journalist Joe Talbert investigates the murder of the father he never knew, and he must reckon with his own family's past. Joe Talbert Jr. has never once met his namesake. Now he's out of college, a cub reporter for the Associated Press in Minneapolis, and he stumbles across a story describing the murder of a man named Joseph Talbert in a small town in southern Minnesota. Full of curiosity about whether this man might be his father, Joe is shocked to find that none of the town's residents have much to say about the dead man, other than that his death was long overdue. Joe discovers that the dead man was a loathsome lowlife who cheated his neighbors, threatened his own daughter, and squandered his wife's inheritance away after she too passed away. Now this inheritance may be Joe's. Mired in uncertainty and plagued by his own devastated relationship with his mother, who is seeking to get back into her son's life, Joe must put together all the missing pieces of his family history before his quest for discovery threatens to put him in a grave of his own. So, The Shadows We Hide, the sequel to The Life We Bury by Alan Eskens. This was published back in 2018. Those are not new books.
The Life They Bury is still on my list.
Yeah, I really like that.
It's good to hear a follow-up is that. So this has been on my list for a while. The Things We Leave Unfinished by Rebecca Yarros. This was published in 2021, and I hear that it is something that's going to make you cry. So maybe I haven't been ready for that yet. 28-year-old Georgia Stanton has to start over after she gave up almost everything in a brutal divorce. The New York house, the friends, her pride. Now back home at her late great-grandmother's estate in Colorado, she finds herself face-to-face with Noah Harrison, the best-selling author of 1 million books where the cover is always people kissing. He's just as arrogant as person as in interviews, and she'll be damned if the good-looking writer of love stories thinks he's the one to finish her grandmother's final novel, even if the publisher swears he's the perfect fit. Noah's at the pinnacle of his career with a book and movie deals galore. There isn't much the golden boy of modern fiction hasn't accomplished, but he can't walk away from what might be the best book of the century, the one his idol, Scarlett Stanton, left unfinished. Coming up with a fitting ending for the legendary author is one thing, but dealing with her beautiful, stubborn, cynical great-granddaughter, Georgia, is quite another. But as they read Scarlett's words in both manuscript and her box of letters, they start to realize why Scarlett never finished the book. It's based on a real-life romance with World War II pilot, and the ending isn't a happy one. Georgia knows all too well that love never works out, and while the chemistry and connection between her and Noah is undeniable, she's as determined as ever to learn from her great-grandmother's mistakes, even if it means destroying Noah's career. So, things we leave unfinished. What is going to happen with this manuscript? I need to know.
I read that, liked it, did cry. Check and check. My second pick is a nonfiction pick. This is Everything is Tuberculosis, The History and Persistence of Our Deadliest Infection by John Green. This is new. This was published in March of this year. He's the #1 best-selling author, and he's a passionate advocate for global healthcare reform. And in this, he tells a deeply human story illuminating the fight against the world's deadliest disease. Tuberculosis has been entwined with humanity for millennia. Once romanticized as a malady of poets, today tuberculosis is a disease of poverty that walks the trails of injustice and inequity we blazed for it. In 2019, John Green met Henry, a young tuberculosis patient at Laka Government Hospital in Sierra Leone, while traveling with Partners in Health. John became fast friends with Henry, a boy with spindly legs and a big goofy smile. In the years since that first visit, Green has become a vocal and a dynamic advocate for increased access to treatment and wider awareness of the healthcare inequities that allow this curable, treatable infectious disease to also be the deadliest, killing 1.5 million people every year. In Everything is Tuberculosis, John tells Henry's story, woven through with the scientific and social histories of how tuberculosis has shaped our world and how our choices will shape the future of tuberculosis. So I like John Green's fiction books. I mean, The Fault in the Stars, Paper Towns, some of my favorites. So I added his nonfiction pick to my to-be-read list.
So, when I was in the Netherlands, the lady at the thrift shop was reading a Sally Rooney book, and Sally Rooney has been on my list for a long time. And I asked her how it was, and she's like, she had just started it, but she said, Normal People has changed her life. So, Sally Rooney's Normal People is on my to-be-read list. At school, Connell and Marianne pretend not to know each other. He's popular and well-adjusted, star of the school soccer team, while she's a lonely, proud, and intensely private. But when Connell comes back to pick his mother up from her housekeeping job at Marianne's house, a strange and indelible connection grows between the two teenagers, one they are determined to conceal. A year later, they're both studying at Trinity College in Dublin. Marianne has found her feet in a new social world while Connell hangs on the sidelines, shy and uncertain. Throughout their years in college, Marianne and Connell circle one another, straying towards other people and possibilities, but always magnetically, irresistibly drawn back together. Then, as she veers into self-destruction and he begins a search for meaning elsewhere, each must confront how far they are willing to go to save each other. Sally Rooney brings her brilliant psychologic acuity and perfectly spare prose to a story that explores the subtleties of class, the electricity of first love, and the complex entanglements of family and friendship. So, Normal People, Sally Rooney.
I read that one after we went to Trinity College in Dublin. I like that book too.
Yeah, she's an Irish author, I think.
My third pick, our book club had this book this week, is All the Colors of the Dark by Chris Whitaker, published in June of last year. 1975 is a time of change in America. The Vietnam War is ending, Muhammad Ali is fighting Joe Frazier, and in the small town of Montclair, Missouri, girls are disappearing. When the daughter of a wealthy family is targeted, the most unlikely hero emerges. Patch, a local boy who saves the girl and in doing so leaves heartache in his wake. Patch and those who love him soon discover that the line between triumph and tragedy has never been finer, and that their search for answers will lead them to truths that could mean losing one another. A missing person mystery, a serial killer thriller, a love story, a unique twist on each. Chris Whitaker has written a novel about what lurks in the shadows of obsession and the blinding light of hope. I know 3 for sure of our staff members have read this and really liked it. So this is pretty close to the top of my list of books to be read. All the Colors of the Dark.
I definitely vote you keep that one. It's a good one. Don't listen to book clubs. So this was a little closer to home, and this is the first, I think she has 4 of these out now. A Death in Door County by Annalise Ryan, which takes place in our beloved Door County. A Wisconsin bookstore owner and cryptozoologist is asked to investigate a series of deaths that just might be proof of a fabled lake monster in this first installment of a new mystery series by best-selling author Annalise Ryan. Morgan Carter, owner of the Odds and Ends bookstore in Door County, Wisconsin, has a hobby. When she's not tending the store, she's hunting cryptids, creatures whose existence is rumored but never proven to be real. It's a hobby that cost her parents their lives, but one she'll never give up on. So when a number of bodies turns up on the shores of Lake Michigan with injuries that look like bites from a giant unknown animal, Police Chief Jan Flanders turns to Morgan for help. A skeptic at heart, Morgan can turn down the opportunity to find proof of an entity whose existence she can't definitely rule out. She and her beloved rescue dog Newt journey to Death's Door Strait to hunt for a homicidal monster in the lake. But if they're not careful, they just might be its next victim. So I think this will be fun because then I can go to Door County and be in these places.
She's got like the Loch Ness Monster on the cover.
I know. In Door County, though.
Who knew? My next pick is Isola by Allegra Goodman. This was published in February of this year. A young woman and her lover are marooned on an island in this epic saga of love, faith, and defiance. Heir to a fortune, Marguerite is destined for a life of prosperity and gentility. Then she is orphaned, and her guardian, an enigmatic and volatile man, spends her inheritance and insists she accompany him on an expedition to New France. Isolated and afraid, Marguerite befriends her guardian's servant, and the two develop in an intense attraction. But when their relationship is discovered, they are brutally punished and abandoned on a small island with no hope for rescue. Once a child of privilege who dressed in gowns and laced pearls in her hair, Marguerite now finds herself at the mercy of nature. As the weather turns, blanketing the island in ice, she discovered a faith she never before needed. Inspired by the real life of a 16th century heroine, Isola is the timeless story of a woman fighting for survival. So this was also a Reese's Book Club pick. This is on my to-be-read list.
I think that should stay on your to-be-read list, and then you should tell me if I should be.
Okay, will do.
So this next one came from a friend of mine who knows I love books about sentient plants, because why not? It's called Eat the Ones You Love by Sarah Maria Griffin, and this is probably the most unusual in my list here. A twisted, tangled story about workplace love affairs and plants with a taste for human flesh. During a grocery store run to her local shopping center, Shell Pine sees a help needed sign in a flower shop window. She's just left her fiance, lost her job, and moved home to her parents' house. She has to make a change and bring some good in her life, so she goes inside and takes a chance. Shell realizes right away that flowers are just the good thing she's been looking for, as is Neve, the beautiful florist who wrote the sign asking for help. The thing is, Neve needs help more than Shell could possibly imagine. An orchid growing out of sight in the heart of the mall is watching them closely. His name is Baby, and the beautiful florist belongs to him. He's young, he's hungry, and he'll do just about anything to make sure he can keep growing big and strong. Nothing he eats, nobody he eats, can satisfy him.
Oh my.
Except the thing he most desires, Neve. He adores her and wants to consume her, and will stop at nothing to eat the ones he loves. This is a story about possession and monstrosity and working in retail. It is about hunger and desire and the other terrible things that grow. So,
Oh my goodness. Eat
eat the ones you love.
Well, I am ending with this author I started with because I have 2 books of his on my to-be-read list, and this is The Quiet Librarian by Alan Eskins, and this just came out in February of this year. After the murder of her best friend, a librarian's search for answers leads back to her own dark secrets in this sweeping novel about a woman transformed by war, family, love, and vengeance. Hannah Babbitt is a quiet, middle-aged librarian in Minnesota who wants nothing more than to be left alone. But when a detective arrives with the news that her best friend has been murdered, Hannah knows that something evil has come for her, a dark remnant of the past she and her friend had shared. 30 years before, Hana was someone else, Nura Divjik, a teenager growing up in the mountains of war-torn Bosnia, until Serbian soldiers arrived to slaughter her entire family before her eyes. The events of that day thrust Nura into the war, leading her to join a band of militia fighters, where she became not only a fierce warrior, but a legend, the deadly Knight Mora. But a shattering final act forced her to flee to the United States with a bounty on her head. Now someone is hunting Hana, and her friend has paid the price, leaving her 8-year-old grandson in Hana's care. To protect the child without revealing her secret, Hana must again become the Knight Mora and hope she can find the killer before the past comes for them too. This made my list because it lands in both the historical fiction and the mystery genres. And
Yeah.
like I said, I liked The Life We Bury and I'm going to read The Shadows We Hide. So The Quiet Librarian, 2 books by Ellen Eskins are on my to-be-read list.
I like any book that includes librarians. Well, I hope that we gave you some good ideas. And like, if you've read any of these, like, let us know if you
Yeah.
liked it or not.
Tell us if they should stay on our list or they should be taken off, and tell us something else to replace it with. In that case, we thank you for watching our videos. You can find them on the Kimberly Public Library website, Facebook page, and YouTube channel. And Jill and I are back, so we'll see you next week with some fall picks. Thanks for watching. Bye.